So let's see if we can figure out what the limit as x approaches infinity of cosine of x over x squared minus 1 is. And like always, pause this video and see if you can work it out on your own. Well, there's a couple of ways to tackle this. You could just reason through this and say, well, look, this numerator right over here, cosine of x, that's just going to oscillate between -1 and 1. Cosine of x is going to be greater than or equal to -1, or -1 is less than or equal to cosine of x, which is less than or equal to 1. So this numerator just oscillates between -1 and 1 as x changes, as x increases in this case. While the denominator here, we have an x squared. So as we get larger and larger x values, this is just going to become very, very, very large. So we're going to have something bounded between -1 and 1 divided by very, very infinitely large numbers. And so if you take you could say bounded numerator and you divide by an infinitely large denominator, well, that's going to approach 0. So that's one way you could think about it. Another way is to make this same argument, but to do it in a little bit more of a mathy way. Because cosine is bounded in this way, we can say that cosine of x over x squared minus 1 is less than or equal to, well, the most that this numerator can ever be is 1. So it's going to be less than or equal to 1 over x squared minus 1. And it's going to be greater than or equal to, well, the least that this numerator can ever be is going to be -1. So -1 over x squared minus 1. And once again, I'm just saying, look, cosine of x at most can be 1, and at least is going to be -1. So this is going to be true for all x. And so we can say that also the limit as x approaches infinity of this is going to be true for all x. So limit as x approaches infinity. Limit as x approaches infinity. Now this here, you could just make the argument, look, the top is constant, the bottom just becomes infinitely large, so this is going to approach 0. So this is going to be 0 is less than or equal to the limit as x approaches infinity of cosine x over x squared minus 1, which is less than or equal to, well, this is also going to go to 0. You have a constant numerator and an unbounded denominator. The denominator is going to go to infinity, and so this is going to be 0 as well. So if our limit is going to be between 0, if 0 is less than or equal to our limit is less than or equal to 0, well then this right over here has to be equal to 0.